ever been to a historic museum, you've probably gone through the dining room or the kitchen and you've seen food that represents that time period. And if you have, then you've seen the work of Sandy Levins. She makes fake food, but this is historically accurate fake food. And she makes it all in her home in Haddonfield, in South Jersey. Let's go take a look. There is an art to making models of the food from centuries ago. Those dishes don't look like what we eat now. You have to know exactly what it looked like then and how to reproduce it now. Sandy, this is unbelievable. This looks so real.
That's the idea.
Tell me, what all am I looking at?
Well, you're starting over here with a hedgehog, which was a marzipan dessert.
That's food.
Almond-based. That
was food.
That would have been a very rich dessert back in the 18th century, yes.
I've never seen anything like that.
Most people haven't, so
yeah, I bet. All right, this is a little more familiar.
This is a platter of roasted sardines that could have just come out of the broiler or the grill. You can pick those up.
This is really incredible.
The lemons are faux lemons because you wouldn't bring it to the table just on a plain platter, so you have to have it nicely garnished for your guests.
A big part of Sandy's job is research because some of the foods she's commissioned to recreate are so unique.
This is an old puzzle pie, and these would have been little minced pies in the 18th century.
So everyone got one?
You could pick them up, you could just munch them. It would be like almost
Is that a dessert?
Or it would be a dessert, or it could be a savory pie if it had, for example, mincemeat was not sweet back in the day.
Okay.
So that's a puzzle pie because it fits together.
So things like this, is this for the wealthy?
These would have been mainly for the gentry of the period. Yes, for the founding fathers, for the very British, a lot of the Quaker families here in South Jersey might have enjoyed these foods as well.
Were you an artist?
I was not an artist. I could do like hangman figures, and that was it.
But you saw something like this, and you thought, oh, I could do that.
So in this case, I made a leg of lamb out of one of my husband's old tube socks. It's stuffed with newspaper, kind of scrunched and bunched and massaged, so it's lumpy bumpy like a lamb roast would be.
Sandy has a reputation for food that is detailed and historically accurate. She's built a library over the past 13 years of reference books, so her food looks like you can eat it.
This is called a Stargazing pie, and it was very much something that you would have eaten in 17th century Cornwall, England. And it actually commemorates a fisherman who saved a village from starvation with his catch. So every December 23rd, they celebrate with Stargazing pies.
There's fake food everywhere in Sandy's house. It's hard to tell what's real and what isn't. This is not the house to put your hand in the cookie jar.
No, or in the freezer because you just don't know what's going to be lurking in there.
Why would it be in the freezer?
Well, the freezer is where I put foods before I actually make molds of them.
So is that what you do here? Is that how you start?
For a lot of them, yes, that is exactly how I start to stabilize the foods. If you'd like to see how it all starts, I'm glad to show you.
Absolutely, let's go. Sure. There are a lot of steps to making historically accurate fake food, and Sandy has developed most of them on her own.
And this is where it starts. This is what we lovingly call the mold room, or fancy, the casting studio. This, for example, is a mold of a real ham. You can see why my husband is in charge of this, because these babies are big, they're heavy, and so I leave this all to him.
You actually got a real ham and brought it here, that big?
I did. I ordered a smokehouse ham from a smokehouse in Virginia to get the right size, and also for the real thing, the right coloring.
And what are these?
These are flat bacons.
So these aren't heavy?
These are not heavy. Yeah. This is heavier because it's larger.
How did you get the idea to, I'll make a mold, I'll go call the butcher?
Well, I actually had built hams, first of all, for Monticello when I had that commission, and that wasn't bad. But when Mount Vernon contacted me and said they wanted 71 pieces of meat, I knew I had to come up with something better.
The focus and care that Sandy puts into her work is why museums across the country send her commissions. Museums like the John James Audubon House in Florida, Mount Vernon and Monticello in Virginia, and New York's Tenement Museum. To finish the process, Sandy heads into another room in her house for the final touches. When painting food, you need a lot of patience, and you need to know the exact colors and shading to be historically accurate.
Painting is actually what gives you the realism at the end of the job. Whether it's a matte finish for a dry piece of meat, whether it's something wet or whether in this case it's a satin finish that gives you a nice greasy, bacony look.
Sandy has to be careful of the materials she uses to make her molds. If she's not, her fake food can actually harm other pieces in the museum.
Anything that is not museum safe will give off vapors that can gradually kind of invade antique pieces of porcelain, little cracks in that porcelain, and over time degrade the collection.
So your food could hurt the other items in the museum?
My food couldn't.
No.
But if I didn't
because
work,
you used
I
the different
work
gas.
completely in museum safe materials,
Got it.
non-toxic, museum safe. And it's one of the things I think that gives me my client base is because they know they can trust these.
Sure. Next time you're in an historic home or museum, don't miss what's on the dining room table and in the cupboard. That food that looks so real, there's a good chance it came from Sandy Levins, and she made it right here in South Jersey.